Hey guys, yeah, it's about 7:32 p.m. right now, and I'm heading home from being dropped off at the bus stop. But I wanted to come on here because apparently these reviews of these adult Sonic fanfics have, been getting a lot of attention. Some people actually like them. Even though they can't, read them on YouTube due to the fact that they might be too descriptive, if you know what I mean. But getting a chance to be linked to them, I guess is like the next best option or something. I don't really know. But, I figured, since people like them, I even had somebody, comment on my review of Southern Foxy Lovin', the one between Tails and Bunny, which, by the way, I do need to remind you that these stories, from the author's point of view, take place like years later and somewhat in an alternate universe where Tails is, of age, and, it's fine for him to, because he's of age, to, go and do this. Anyway, this one, you probably can tell by the title on the screen, is called The Keeper. Now, what's interesting about this one is it involves Tails and two female love interests. But what's interesting about, those two love interests is one is the mother of his best friend, his bro, if you will, his big brother, if you kind of see where I'm going with it, with who I'm talking about. And the second girl, well, you may not be a fan of it, not many of us are, but let's just say the other girl is very insensual to him, and yes, I'm talking about his mother, Rosemary. Now, the mother I'm talking about in the story, that's his best friend, this big bro's mother is, of course, Sonic. And we're talking about Sonic's mom from the Archie comics, that being Bernadette Hedgehog, who is also the other, who is the other girl in this equation. And like I said, these stories take place in alternate universes. They take place years later, and such. So not only is Tails of age. Hold on for a sec. Sorry about that. I had to cross the street. But anyway, like I said, not only is Tails of age in this story like he is in the previous ones, but in this version, this alternate universe, both Bernadette Hedgehog's husband, Jules, who is roboticized in Archie Comics, but has his free will, and she basically later on was de-roboticized, thanks to the alien race, the Beam. And Rosemary's husband, Amadeus, who is Tails' dad, both guys have passed away. We'll put it that way. Both guys have basically moved on, if you will. They've passed away. I don't know if due to injuries, I don't know if due to, just natural causes, we don't know. But they've passed away. And hold on a sec. And because of this, both are now widows. Well, Rosemary has Tails, Bernadette has Sonic, but both are widows. And they need comfort, if you will. So basically, long story short, Bernadette, since she and Rosemary are best friends, convinces Rosemary to set her up with her son. That's what she does. She convinces Rosemary to set her up with her son. Hold on for a second. Like I said, long story short, Bernadette, decides that, since Tails, like I said, in this universe has come of age, he's grown up and everything, that, she wants Rosemary to set Tails up with her so that she could possibly try to take Tails on as her new lover, or basically her new husband. Now, Rosemary first is a little iffy about this, but Bernadette is able to change her mind and even tease the fact that maybe the way she is describing what she wants to do with Tails, that maybe there's a side of Rosemary that probably wants a piece of Tails as well. And of course, Rosemary tries to deny this, but since Bernadette is her best friend, she decides, okay, I'll set you up with my son, and everything will go along with your plan. And that's what happens. So they come up with a plan, an idea to get Tails over to Bernadette's. And once Tails gets there, at first, I believe, he thinks he's going to repair something, right? He's going there to repair, I think, a television or a computer or something like that, right? Anyway, he goes there, and he suddenly realizes, okay, something's a little off, and then when he basically enters the house, I think he enters, a certain area. I think the bedroom was basically, long story short, and I know I just said that, but long story short, he pretty much figures out that he's been set up by his mom and Bernadette to get it on with Bernadette. He's been set up to get it on with her. And because he's been set up to get it on with her, he basically, is at first a little reluctant, and justifiably so, because he's like, well, wait a minute, I didn't expect this. I expected something else and everything, but yet, here we are. He's basically being put into a situation to where it's like, well, if I do this, then I do this. And, Bernadette is able to win him over by convincing him, that, this is, something she wants to do, and he does it. He ends up doing it. So, yeah. He ends up doing it with her. They start getting it on. But what's interesting about it is Bernadette knows they're not going to be alone in this. Bernadette knows there's a good chance that they're going to have company, and that, of course, would be Rosemary. Because Rosemary, just out of curiosity, wants to see what's going on, and she sees through the bedroom window basically what's happening. So what happens is Rosemary, starts to get in the mood herself, and she decides, she can't take it anymore, so she ends up going into the house, wanting to, finally realizing that Bernadette's right, that maybe she's getting attracted to her son too, and everything. So she goes into the house and sees a note that Bernadette has left for her, pretty much acknowledging, I knew you were going to come, I knew you were going to change your mind, we're upstairs. So basically, while they're in the process, of getting it on and going through the first course, if you will, that's when Rosemary shows up, much to Tails' surprise, and after she convinces him, to let her in on the fun, basically, that's when, it comes to fruition, basically comes to conclusion, if you will, as to, what they want Tails for. And they both want Tails, as the husband, basically to have a three-way relationship, with them. Basically have a three-way relationship with them. And, that's basically what happens and starts to formulate. They start to have a three-way relationship right then and there by getting very intimate. I mean, even the girls kind of have a little scuffle because both want to be like the first, to get in on the action. And, Tails has to be the one that gets in between them because, they're acting so childish, which they do admit to. So, yeah. Basically, they want in on the action, and that's what happens. And they just get, they get crazy. They get rough and everything, very intimate, rough, intimate, you name it. And it concludes with a bit of an epilogue of them kind of still getting it on afterwards, when they get a chance over the next several months. Heck, it even ends with his head being buried between their two high region assets, if you know what I mean. And then, like I said, it epilogues into the next few months of them getting it on whenever they can, depending on the location. And that's pretty much how the story ends, with also a hint of Tails being a father of two mothers, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's how the story ends, and I suggest checking it out. I'll provide a link, in the description. You guys can see it. And really, that's about it, guys. So let me know what your thoughts are on it. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Super chats are open and welcomed during the premiere and everything. And super thanks afterwards. And until next time, I'm home now, guys, and I will talk to you all later. So until then, peace out, God bless, and I am done.